episode of You Good, the Terrible Happy podcast sub-series where I kind of collide skateboarding and mental health and raw conversation about how we can be better and how we can feel good and honestly things that I'm interested in and have been researching and want to share with you as well. Hopefully we can learn together and let's go. So this week I'm diving into a topic that sits at the heart of why we do what we do and why we keep showing up. It's that elusive yet addictive experience we all chase, that feeling when time slows down, when your brain goes quiet and everything you do just clicks. That, my friends, is flow or the flow state. It's come up often on this podcast over the years. Ty Coling, he named his coaching practice Flow Skate to reflect how central it is to his approach. James McMillan, surfer, artist, author, he calls it the no mind state, where he personally finds that deep presence and peace. It's a spiritual thing for him. Craig Branch, who's been on the show, he's a 3-time Olympic downhill skier. He described it as, and I quote, "I know when I'm in flow, when I'm skiing at 110 kilometers an hour and everything just slows down." For me personally, I clearly remember the very first time I experienced it. I was actually playing soccer as an 11-year-old and the winger of the team crossed the ball to me from the other side of the field. It was a perfectly placed ball in front of the opposing team's goal, but I thought I was too far away to get to the ball, so I ran as hard as I could, and at the last minute, I dived for the ball and headed it into the goal. And in those final moments before my head hit the ball, time just slowed right down. I had complete clarity. The world was silent for a moment. And I guess I kind of felt like I was in the Matrix movie, when Keanu Reeves is getting, bullets shot at him and he's like bending backwards and just can see everything before it happens. I literally had that feeling. I can remember it so clearly. And before landing on my stomach when I dived for that ball, I just could feel this rush of dopamine and a sense of, my like spirit re-entering my body or something. And then all of a sudden, like time sped up and everything was loud. And I just sort of it's like I blacked out. It's like, what just happened? And I know everyone's felt that at least once in their life. But for me, I was totally addicted to that feeling from that day. And since, I've experienced it numerous times in various ways. Some times have been more profound than others, but I've definitely experienced it with skateboarding, especially learning new tricks or specific moments. And I've definitely felt it surfing, especially when you get barreled. And I know most surfers will say that experience of getting an amazing barrel is a zen feeling. Time slows down, colors are brighter. You just feel like you are completely present. And it's profound. And I think all humans are chasing this feeling in some way, whether it be through positive means, such as, what we do as skateboarders or people who enjoy action sports. And by the way, I hate the term action sports, but I hate it less than the term extreme sports. But anyway, I'm going to use the term action sports today. So they're healthy ways of doing it. I also think people chase it in negative ways through substances or, unhealthy addictions, maybe sex addiction, I don't know, gambling, those things as well. They're looking for the chemicals, the neurobiology that comes along with flow state. And we're going to talk about that today. Anyway, I didn't realize that flow state can be cultivated through discipline, creating the right environment for it, and by understanding the neuroscience. So it's not just some poetic buzzword flow state. There's a real science behind it. It's been studied by psychologists, neuroscientists, elite athletes, Navy SEALs, and even spiritual seekers. But here's the thing, skateboarding might just be one of the purest forms of flow on the planet. It's profound, and there's a reason for that. Just the nature of it breeds it. So today we're diving deep into what is flow, why does it matter, how do you access it more consistently, and why do skateboarders, especially those of us pushing mental limits as well as physical, need it now more than ever. So let's get into it. All right, first question, what is flow state? The term flow, I'm going to define it for you. The term flow was coined by a psychologist. Now, this name is wild. He's a Hungarian guy, and I'm going to put his name in this episode's show notes so you can see how it's spelt. But this is how it's pronounced. His first name is Mihaly and surname is Csikszentmihalyi. So Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. I know, wild name, but stick with me. So he wrote a classic book, and it's called Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience, and I will link that in this episode. Go and check it out for yourself. It's a great book. He describes flow as, and I quote, the state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience is so enjoyable that people will do it at any great cost for the sheer sake of just doing it. This sounds familiar, right? Skateboarders especially, surfers, snowboarders even, whatever. It sounds familiar. We just do it most of the time for no reward, no physical or tangible reward. So why are we doing it all the time? And if you've ever been, mid-trick and you're learning a new trick and it felt like time slowed down, like your board was an extension of your body and the noise of the world just faded, like that's it, you were in flow. We've all felt it. I felt it the other day. So I actually went skateboarding with a friend and I set myself a challenge at the start of the session, and I was going to do 10 360 flips or 10 tray flips in the session. And I started off by saying, I'm just going to do 10 in a row. Like, this would be an easy get. Now, I did 2 pretty quickly, but then I hit this wall of like, I just stopped. I just couldn't land them anymore. And I started overthinking it, and I was too focused on the end goal of achieving 10. I just wanted to get there and get it out of the way so then I could enjoy the rest of the session. But I just hit this mental block, and before you know it, frustration sets in. I start to analyze it, break it down. I start to criticize myself, and then the negative self-talk starts to creep in. I started saying things to myself like, the excuses came up like, your knee hurts, or you're tired, or you didn't eat enough today. And the worst negative self-talk that I hate the most, and it just pisses me off, I started saying to myself, you're too old for this shit anyway. And that's just the worst excuse in my opinion. So I left it. I just stopped trying it. I did my 2, and then I just started cruising around, skating, hanging out with my mate, talking some shit. There was a bit of banter. He started like trying to trick, so I started filming him. And then I went on to some other stuff. And then it got dark and the session started to wind down. And while we're just sort of winding down, and we just started chatting and laughing some more, and I wasn't even thinking about skating, but while we're talking, I just started playing with the 360 flips again. Next thing you know, they just felt really effortless, and wasn't thinking about them. I was more focused on the conversation. Then I started playing with them, and then another one came. So now I'm up to 3 out of 10. So I'm like, all right, okay, now I'm back on that. I'm back on that trip. Let's get this. And the next 5 were really tricky. So I got the third one. Then I started thinking about it too much again. I was like, hang on, overanalyzing it. I'm not relaxed with it. Went back to the conversation, started playing with some more. Boom, got another one. Got up to 7 in total. So then I'm like, all right, I want to get the last 3 in a row. And as soon as I said that, all of a sudden the negative self-talk came in. You're tired, just want to get this done. Wasn't thinking about being present and enjoying the process. I was thinking about the end goal of just achieving the 10 and not enjoying the process. So then I relaxed, and what do you know? Boom, 3 in a row. Boom, boom, boom. I got the last 3 in a row, so I got my 10. But it was a mental journey and a mental battle, but I had to go through the ebbs and the flows of that. So if you've ever been in that, it's good to be in flow, but flow has several key ingredients, and I'm going to describe them in the book Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. These key ingredients are highlighted. Intense focus is one of the dot points. Next dot point, a sense of control without trying to control. Merging of action and awareness is another dot point. Loss of self-consciousness. And that was a big one when I was trying these 10 tray flips. So my particular friend that I was skating with is a really good skater who could easily bust out 10 tray flips without even thinking. He would literally do it as a warm-up. So initially I got a bit self-conscious when I kept falling off a trick that would be easy for him. And I was just like, and again, negative self-talk. I was comparing myself to him and my ability levels. So it wasn't until that self-consciousness sort of faded away through our banter and laughing and just hanging out before the flow started. Next thing, you get a distorted perception of time. And I know anyone that's ever battled a trick, if they really want it, especially those guys at the top level, it's not uncommon for them to battle a trick for 3-4 hours at a time, then not make it, then come back the next day and then do that again. And if you ask any of them, they wouldn't even consider that they were trying that for 3 or 4 hours until maybe at the end after they've landed it. It's amazing. And the last dot point that he refers to is the activity feels intrinsically rewarding, not extrinsically, intrinsically. Deep feeling of satisfaction, contentment, happy with yourself. So he talks about it's a sweet spot where your skills perfectly match the challenge in front of you. It's not too easy. It's not too hard. It's just enough to make it feel real. So if it's too easy, it's going to be boring. If it's too hard and unrealistically above your skill level, you need to check that. For me personally, I know that my skill level doesn't allow me to jump down a 15-stair rail, or flipping into, a high ledge. So I've got to be realistic and I've got to readjust that. And I've been really analysing top-level pro skaters that have been in the game for a long time. So, for example, Guy Mariano is someone that I've watched for literally 30 years of skateboarding. And now he's in his late 40s. He's still putting out video parts, and he put out one for Dickies recently. And it's a really interesting part because it's super enjoyable to watch. But his trick selection and the spots that he's skating have been so carefully picked and in line with his current ability level. So he's not picking big gaps. He's not picking stairs. Not that he was ever that kind of skater, but the spots that he's skating are sort of more choreographed to match his current skill level, and it's purely enjoyable. So there's something to think about. Anyway, let's go on to the next question. So one of the questions I've written down is why is skating built for flow? Why does it lend to flow states more than other activity? So skateboarding hits almost every known flow trigger, and I think surfing would as well, and other action sports, maybe mountain bike riding, skiing, snowboarding. And these are the conditions that help induce flow. And it's outlined in books like The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler, and I highly recommend it, and Stealing Fire by Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheal. They've written a book together. These guys studied action sport athletes, big wave surfers, base jumpers, those parkour guys, and they discovered that athletes who face real-time risk and need moment-to-moment precision are basically like flow addicts. And we are. We all get addicted to that feeling of landing a trick, accomplishing something, challenging ourselves, being out of our comfort zone. It's so addictive. Now let's think about skateboarding and put it in those terms. So skateboarding, has clear goals. So your clear goal is to land the trick in nearly every aspect of it. There's immediate feedback. You either land the trick or you don't, or you slam most of the time, okay? Risk is always present in skateboarding, whether it's a stair set, a handrail, or just pushing your own personal boundaries in front of people. It's a novelty. Every spot is different. Like with skateboarding, there's a novelty aspect to it in terms of like it's constantly changing. Even if you're at a spot, it can change. Maybe like if it's a street spot, maybe like it could be an influx of pedestrians, or the weather could change, or even sometimes at a spot you can go there one day and you go there the next day and a tree has dropped all sorts of bark and leaves all over the spot, and it's like almost impossible to skate if you haven't got a broom, things like that. Also, the challenge to skill ratio is referenced in those books, and skateboarding constantly evolves. So as you get better, you try harder tricks, and flow, like I said earlier, lives right on that edge. So the better you get, you want to push your boundaries. You want to live on the edge of that level of discomfort. Remember, if you go too far past the discomfort, you're not going to find the flow state. But if you're too far under it, you're going to find boredom and you're not going to progress and maybe lose interest. So the challenge to skill ratio, and that's what's happening in skateboarding all the time. It's constantly evolving with progression. The other thing about skateboarding, there's no coach. There never has been. There is coaches nowadays for the top level guys, but generally skaters are teaching themselves. We don't have like a practice every week with a team or a coach. There's no playbook. There's no timer. You just go and have a skate. It's just you. Sometimes, but even with your friends and your crew, it's just you, your board, the spot, and the moment. So it really does lend to nurturing an environment of pure presence. Now let's talk about the neuroscience of flow. So the science to it. Let's get into the chemistry that's going on during it. So flow, I mean, it's not just a vibe. Like your brain literally shifts when you drop into flow. So according to Stephen Kotler in his book and other researchers, during flow, they say that the prefrontal cortex, which is where apparently your inner critic is, it goes quiet. That's called transient hypofrontality. So you stop overthinking. So when you're in flow state, you stop overthinking. And again, when I refer back to my 10 tray flip challenge the other day, it wasn't until I stopped thinking about it too much that they started happening. And I kind of distracted myself by sort of talking to my mate while I did it, made a joke about it, relaxed more. So, it quietens the inner critic. Think about that. Like, what a good thing to practice. Now, if you can translate that into your relationships and your workplace, this is a good thing. And again, this is what I'm trying to get to. Skateboarding, action sports, these activities are setting you up for a better life in all areas. The next thing in terms of the neuroscience, your brain releases during the flow state, it releases dopamine, which is the feel-good drug, norepinephrine. Now, this one's a bit of a harder one to say. It's anandamide, endorphins, and even serotonin. And these are a potent neurochemical cocktail that enhances focus, blocks pain, and creates euphoria. Now, I want to give you a bit more of a detailed breakdown of those neurochemicals one more time, exactly what each of them do. So dopamine is linked to, it boosts focus. So that chemical produced by the brain, dopamine, we've probably heard it all before with other things, but it boosts focus, motivation, and learning. Norepinephrine is linked to enhancing attention and arousal. Endorphins are known to reduce pain and increase pleasure. And anandamide boosts lateral thinking and pattern recognition. Serotonin, which is the other neurochemical, is responsible for stabilizing mood and promoting well-being. So when you are in the flow state, aka in the battle of a trick, trying to progress, trying to learn something new, put together a new line, these neurochemicals are being released to get you into that state. And you're training your brain to utilize them regularly. So they're getting produced more and more in your brain the more you do these things. Brain waves shift during the flow state, shift into the alpha theta border. So the alpha theta border is the same as deep meditation and REM sleep. Now, I think my friend James McMillan, the surfer that I mentioned earlier, an artist that's been on the show a couple of times, and friend, he's getting into that. He's, with the meditation as well. And it's like a deep sense of peace, relaxation. But he likes to call it like a no-mind state. I like that. We should get him on here to talk about that again, actually. So that means, when you're skating and everything clicks and you're in the flow state, you're not just in a good mood, you're in a biological peak state. And that's addicting in the best way. Again, so sometimes if you go for a skate and you don't achieve something or find even an element of flow state, there's times when you'll come home and, it was a bad session, I didn't, and you're feeling sort of bummed about it. But you want to go back for more, you want to chase it, and then you'll have a good session, and then, some will be better than others, but you can always find these little moments. But effectively, when you're doing that, you're putting yourself in a good mood, and you're releasing all these neurochemicals and putting yourself literally in a biological, physical peak state. And that's fully addictive, and it's healthy. It's in a positive way. It's a positive thing, and you're achieving it in a natural way. So let's talk about now flow and mental health. Like, for me, this is the real gold. Like, this is why I do any of this stuff. So, a lot of skaters, I know, myself included, don't just skate for fun. We skate to stay sane, right? Whether it's anxiety, depression, trauma, or just feeling disconnected, flow gives us a moment of clarity, a break from the noise. So the Hungarian author with the hardest name in the world to read, Csikszentmihalyi, that's his surname. His research found that people who experience flow regularly report higher levels of life satisfaction, creativity, and resilience. So if you're getting yourself into the flow state regularly through skateboarding or action sports, whatever you want to call them, extreme sports, bike riding, look, it could even be, you might be a personal trainer, you might be a coach, you might be a dog trainer, I don't know. If they're getting you into a flow state and that's all you're fixated on, and you're trying to achieve a trick or a goal, you're going to report higher levels of life satisfaction, creativity, and resilience. And these people that do that in his research are less prone to anxiety and rumination. And so if you're not sure what rumination is, it's when you hook into a thought, generally negative, or an idea, and you keep thinking about it over and over and over, and it's very hard to let that thought go and release it. And I have suffered horrendously with rumination over the years, and it's always ruminating about a problem, something I'm worried about. And I will hook into that one thought for days, and it will torment me. It's torment. It's fully torment. Psychological assistance with that, there's techniques out there that can help you break it. But I'm giving you one right now to break rumination. That's get in the flow state by going out there, skateboarding, surfing, and learning a new trick, trying a new trick, trying to progress. Maybe it's in the gym trying to get gains. I don't know. But rumination sucks, and you can reduce and unhook from those intrusive thoughts through flow state. And that matters. And especially in a culture like ours where talking about mental health is still evolving, But I really reckon the culture's changed. I reckon more dudes are talking about their mental health than ever. I love it. There's a very noticeable shift. And I think skateboarders have always been like kind, empathetic souls who are very accepting and open to these big conversations. I've always that's why skateboarding has always been the safe place for me with skate parks, because I found my crew that I could talk about stuff and how I'm feeling. So yeah, but it is evolving. Anyway, skating gives you a physical, accessible path into that headspace. Yeah, man, it's therapy. It's fully therapy. Again, surfing does it for me as well. In a different way, it's more of a profound connection to nature. There is definitely something deep about paddling out and seeing the sunrise and getting those early morning colors in your eyes and feeling the energy of the ocean and the water, and there's magnesium in the water and there's vitamin D in the sun, and those things combined are just optimal for improving immune health. So that's why I stay close to surfing. But in terms of getting in the flow state, I find it more in skateboarding personally. So what are some things we can put into practice regularly to get us in this state? So I've got 5 things listed here. So here are some flow hacks which are backed by science but grounded in skateboarding. So number 1, find your edge. So flow lives in that sweet spot where your challenge is just above your current skill level. Remember, if it's too easy, you're going to get bored and uninspired. If it's too hard, you're going to get anxious and disheartened. And that's why progression matters. Like, it keeps flow accessible. So don't compare yourself, just teeter on your own personal edge to get yourself into flow state. That magic, quiet space where things slow down and everything feels great and you're in the present moment and it just works. Find your edge, number 1. Number 2, eliminate distractions. So ditch your fucking phone. Stop filming every session. You don't need to get a clip every session. Flow needs focus. Give your time to just skate. Just go and skate. Go skate by yourself. You don't need to film everything. Don't go and set your phone up. I think that can be a really good motivator, filming stuff. Sometimes it motivates me to really want to land a trick, but you don't need to do it all the time. Film every other session, okay? Number 3, practice mindfulness. So you're already halfway there as a skater. Just start noticing your breath. And I remember when I had breathwork specialist Nathan Ho on here, he really clued me in to the power of nasal breathing. And he said, when you're battling a trick, and try just like when you go back to set up for it again, just concentrate on breathing through your nose, close your mouth, breathe through your nose. He's also a big advocate for sleeping with your mouth taped shut and breathing through your nose while you sleep. And I've talked about it on here before. BREATHEEZE sent me some nasal strips to open up my nasal passages, tape my mouth. I've never slept better in my life. And it gets me in the moment. So practice these things outside of skateboarding. So when you do go skating, it'll get you in the flow state more. So I find when I'm in the battle, I breathe through my nose. I feel my body. How's my body feeling? I think about it, and just keep trying to stay present in the moment, not what the end goal is that I'm trying to achieve. I don't want to think about that anymore. I don't want to think about what I had for lunch that day either. I want to think about what I'm doing right now. For some reason, for me, nasal breathing really works for that. Okay. So flow thrives on presence. This is what we're trying to achieve with it. Number 4, warm-up rituals. Okay. Repetition helps cue flow. Whether it's stretching, skating the same curb or ledge or spot, or putting on your favorite playlists when you're warming up. Create a flow-friendly routine and do the same thing every time. So, again, for me, I've started stretching much, much more before sessions, and I'm finding now that I can't even start a session if I know that I haven't stretched beforehand. It's just like a process my body has to go through. And then I've also got some other warm-up rituals I do now. Like I'll be like, all right, I'm just going to do 10 nollies. I'm going to do 10 frontside 180s, 10 backside 180s. Then I might start trying to flip my board. Then I might try to hit the ledge or maybe something more challenging. But I just go through this process. And I actually learnt that from pro skater Andrew Reynolds. Seen it on some documentary or some clip on him. He is all about repetition. I think he's also referenced him, when he's battling a trick, he has to go through all these rituals, like he has to, tap his board 3 times. People always want to diagnose this shit and go, oh, he's OCD or he's ADHD. Like they're going to throw these diagnoses out. But maybe it's just his ritual and that's getting him in the flow state. And mate, that guy's been doing it longer than anyone. So you really can't argue with the boss. If the boss is doing it, like I want to do it. The guy's like almost 50, the same age as me, and skating better than ever. He just got a Thrasher cover. Just got a new pro shoe on New Balance. So, when those intrusive thoughts of, and this is something I hear all the time, even from people that aren't old, they say, I'm too old. Like I've heard 35-year-olds say it to me. I used to be able to do that when I was younger, or I'm too old. I'm like, how old are you? And they're like, I'm 37. I'm like, what? You're in your prime. Go and tell the boss that. He'll tell you to fuck off. Dead set. Number 5, recovery. Flow is taxing on the brain. It is. So when, you're going to get tired. So sleep well. Use the nasal tape, mouth tape. Have a sauna, an ice bath through the day. For some reason, I sleep so much better when I do that stuff. Eat well. Each of 3 and 5, 3 serves of 2 and 5. I think it's a thing. So at least 2 serves of fruit and 5 serves of vegetables every day. And downtime. Like just give yourself some downtime. Like it's not a luxury. It's a fuel. It's a necessity. So put your feet up. Binge out on YouTube and don't feel bad about it because you're fueling up for the next session and the next opportunity to find flow state. And again, yes, I'm linking it to skateboarding, but I feel like it's applicable to everything you do in life. So it could be like learning a new program at work or, delivering some new content to your board of directors, whatever. You could be an entrepreneur starting a new business and teetering on the edge of progressing that business. I think you can find the flow states in that, but it's this desire for progression, getting in the present moment. And when you're doing those things and being present and achieving and landing in your trick, you're releasing all those neurochemicals. They're going to make you feel good. They're going to reduce your chance and your susceptibility to anxiety and rumination, and those feelings fucking suck and you don't want them. Last thing, I guess it's not the last thing, but it's the last, section, and I've got this subheading and it's skating as a spiritual practice, and I guess I've already been ranting about this, but like it might sound wild, but in that book, Stealing Fire by Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheal, they argue that flow is actually a gateway to transcendence. Okay, here we go. All right. To something like transcendence to something bigger than ourselves. Okay. And I guess I feel that, and maybe it's led me to God. Maybe it's going to lead you to God of your own understanding. Who knows? But it could be, I really think there's magic in doing these things we love regularly alone. So skate solo at night in the streets, just go out there and do it by yourself. Surfing, it's very common to go surfing. That dawn patrol surf when you're walking down the beach on first light by yourself. Man, like that's a spiritual experience, whether you like it or not. You do that regularly, you're going to feel good all the time. So when it's just you and whatever it is that you love and everyone else is asleep, I reckon there's some spirituality in that and there's some magic in that. It's quiet, and I feel like that's when God, or the God of your own understanding, has an opportunity to talk to you. So maybe have a think about that. But anyway, I think it's just like there's sacred times when you're doing by yourself, and there's like a sacred silence. The sacred silence of flow, maybe. Let's call it that. But I feel that you can achieve it even at a busy skate park, and you can achieve it even in a session with your friends where you don't have to be talking to them all the time. You can just go off and skate this one section by yourself. If it means putting headphones in so you're not distracted by, other people wanting to talk to you, and they'll maybe avoid you because they can see you got headphones on, and that's going to help you get into some flow state, well, so be it. So you're not really you're not escaping the world. You're just you're meeting yourself, and you're meeting yourself in a really positive way, in my opinion. So yeah, flow, it's not a mystery, it's a discipline. And as skaters, we're uniquely wired to access it. It's a discipline. It's a discipline. I wish I learnt this after I headed that ball into the goals as an 11-year-old. I didn't really know what I was chasing, but there's a discipline, and some of those things I listed, you can put them into practice. It's I really reckon that flow state's what keeps us coming back after we slam, after we get injured, after we have setbacks, after years of doing it. I think it's why skating never really gets old for me or any other skaters I know, because flow never gets old. It's timeless. Progression and learning is timeless. We have to be lifelong learners, lifelong progressors. So next time you're skating, zoning out, learning a new trick, or just cruising around with headphones, know this, you're not just skating, you're tapping into one of the most powerful states the human mind can enter. And like I've talked about, protect that, practice it, and then share it with your friends. If you want to dive deeper into the stuff I've talked about, I've referenced these books today, and I highly recommend Flow by Hungarian author, I'm going to say his name again, god damn it, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and wait till you see the spelling of that. Also, The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler, and Stealing Fire by Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheal. I've also put a link in this episode's show notes to the Genome Project, which has a lot of information about it. And the spelling of that, the Genome Project, it's pretty cool. It's the Flow Genome Project. It's, website is Flow, Flow, Genome, Genome, project.com, all one word. Go and check it out and you can learn some more stuff. So anyway, those books have changed the way I think about skating and about being a human, actually. And until next time, thanks for listening to this week's episode of You Good. There's interviews with some rad humans coming up. So stay tuned. Peace.